Welcome to the show. We at Trucking Life welcome you all. Now, pull that rig over, hit the head, grab a drink and snack, settle in, and let's get this show on the road. And now, your host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Trucking Life Live. It's our Sunday brunch show. If it is 11 a.m. and it is Sunday, that can only mean two things. One, it is time for brunch, and two, it is time to watch some great content here on Trucking Life. I will be today's host. I am Big Rig Ed. You might also know me as Ed Plow. We've got a really big, really great show for you guys today. If you haven't already, please go ahead and hit all the little buttons that you got on the bottom of your screen there. Like, follow, subscribe, hit the little bell icon, and so that way you're notified whenever we are live. Also check us out on Castbox. We've got a new platform, Castbox. These shows do now exist in podcast form, where you get audio version so you can listen to us while you are driving down the road. And if you happen to be listening to this show on Castbox, I'm not saying don't listen to it, but what I'm saying is that there are a lot of pictures and graphics and videos that's going to go along with this particular show. So consider coming back on and watching the video version of the show, so that way you can check out some of the great content from our amazing guests that we have today. Now, as for our topic, as you may already be aware of, it's Pride Month, right? Pride Month, this is where we celebrate the identity of individuals of the LGBTQIA plus community, and that's probably a few more letters than what you're used to hearing, but that's for the most part the full acronym. It's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer and/or questioning, intersex, asexual, and the countless other ways to affirm your self-identity. So we are doing a show for the LGBT truckers that are our neighbors out on the road. Before I bring on my first guest, I do want to, kind of a more somber note. We didn't plan this. I don't think we knew when we were putting this show together about this. But today, June 12th, does happen to be the 6th anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting. On that night, 49 people were killed by self-described member of ISIS, a terrorist. It was the deadliest attack against LGBT people in the U.S. It was the deadliest terrorist attack since 9/11, and it was the deadliest mass shooting in our history until the Las Vegas shooting in 2017, which killed 60. So make sure. Do some Google search. There might be some events in your local area, remembering that particular event, and just keep the families of the lost ones, of the lost loved ones, in your thoughts and prayers. All right. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and bring on our first guest. Now, I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to do his introduction any justice, but he is a huge advocate for LGBT truckers in our industry. So let's go ahead and bring on Bobby Coffey-Loy. What's up, man?
Yeah, just kind of sitting here, and I'm pretty excited to be here, and that you all included us with this show. As for introduction of myself, I am founder of LGBTQ plus Truck Driver Network, and it's just a major resource that has taken off for the drivers themselves to have a network to talk to each other and socialize. And we're trying to bridge that gap between the community of the regular LGBTQ and the trucking community of LGBTQ. So yeah, I'm just super excited to be here today. And being from Florida, Pulse nightclub is, there's not really even words I can put into how I feel about everything that had transpired, but definitely, it is something that I will forever in my life remember and never forget those people that lost their life that night.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And unfortunately, it's just like one of those things. It's the fact that I'm putting this show together. I didn't even know what today was, because it's one of those things that just happens way too often in this country, to the point where you can't really remember any particular day because
Right.
another one just recently happened, and it's just it's really sad. Um, but uh, but yeah, so with all of that said. I've got a lot here about your advocacy, your outreach work. I'm asking all of my guests here basically to briefly describe your personal journey discovering your self identity. Is there anything you'd like to share in that regard?
Um, well, me myself, I came out to a lot of my friends when I was like 14, 15. And then as time went on, I had to get more comfortable with myself, just in who I was. And I had to accept it. I was born and raised in West Virginia. And in that area, um, being LGBTQ is a little bit harder. I know it's very hard everywhere, but at the same time, when you're in an area that is West Virginia, I do love my home state of West Virginia, but it was very hard for me being there, and
Right.
was not as accepting as other areas like Florida and Texas, and I mentioned those two states, and I know that they both have a lot of law issues going on right now, but they still are more accepting. I can walk down the street if I wanted to and hold my husband's hand, and where I couldn't do that in West Virginia. Um, you know, growing up there was so hard. That was the hardest thing. I was, but as life went on, I just had to accept myself. A lot of my boundaries and a lot of the hang-ups that I had was within myself. And I see that a lot out here with all the people that I meet in trucking. A lot of people, I talk about a bubble all the time, and a lot of people use the truck as their safe zone and their bubble.
Right.
And there's a lot of, um, there's just a lot of things that people, they get in the truck and they stay. They shut out the outside world, and mental health is so important, and it's very there's many people that get killed in trucks. It's not shown as much on media. There's a lot of people who, it doesn't ever hit mainstream media, is what I should say. You may find it in a
Right.
newspaper, or you may find one mention about it. There's a
Like
lot
on
of
the local
suicide.
news or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah. There-
suicide that happens within trucking. There's a lot of things, and with the organization, as I was growing, the organization just teaches me stuff all the time. With all the people that I meet, it literally just teaches me the areas I need to focus on just by talking to people, just by meeting people, talking to people, making new friends out here on the road. Um, it has taught me so much. It has educated me so much. Um, I didn't realize that people would transition in their trucks and recover from surgeries. I didn't think about that. And even being LGBTQ, it just was the farthest thing from my mind. But then I also talk, when someone's going down the road and you're driving in your regular car, you see a semi truck fly past you, but 9 times out of 10, nobody thinks about an LGBTQ person driving that truck.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
we're in every field of work and every line of work everywhere. We're just like everyone else doing the same job and dealing with brokers and the loads you don't want to haul and all the fun stuff that makes up trucking. But that's what we're doing, is just opening people's mind to, we're doing the same job as you. And so for me, my personal growth and goal with everything that's going on is, I'm taught so much every day, just from the people that I meet. So it's very rewarding to be able to talk to people, um, and then I grow as a person, at the
Right.
same time with everything we're doing.
Excellent. Excellent. So let me ask you this question. What what I'm sorry, why did you choose to get into trucking to begin with? What influenced that decision?
Well, actually, me and my husband was together for 9 years, and we had both. I was in nursing for 16 years and business management, and we owned a restaurant, and our lives were so busy, plus working full-time jobs, American Red Cross. So we both our lives was going in two different directions. We literally, and we wasn't regulated by DOT or anything, so we would do like the emergency transplant deliveries or blood delivery, plasma delivery, and all that for American Red Cross. So when we did that, um, our relationship was, I mean, was almost over, it seemed like. We didn't have no time for each other. We hardly seen each other. We would pass each other in a state or two away, from home. We barely seen each other. And I honestly feel that trucking saved our marriage. It brought us closer together. And by going through trucking school together and doing every step together, um, sometimes, yeah, we would like to kill each other inside of a truck, but it's such a small space,
No
and if you can
different than
live
any
in,
other marriage, you know.
yeah,
Every
and
marriage pretty much the same.
if you can live in a small space, but then when you get upgraded to the bigger, we got the bigger truck, and it's still a small space at times with your spouse, but getting into trucking was a decision we made together, and it brought us closer together as a couple, working together and being a team all the time. And still to this day, people think that we're like in training or whatever, but we still get out
Right.
every time we back, every time we're doing maneuvers, every time one of us is outside of the truck, we're both on our headsets just for safety and precaution. Um, uh, I don't know. We've never strayed away from that pattern just because I am a big safety person. So,
Oh, you're preaching to the choir, man. I'm a former CDL instructor, and my little joke is safety is no accident. And one of the things that me and my wife used to do when she was out on the road with me is I had this really high-powered flashlight, and there are certain ways that she would wave the flashlight. Like think of like guiding in a like an
an
airplane or something
airplane.
like that.
Hmm.
Right? Yeah, she would do the exact same thing for me. Yeah, even if it was like an easy dock or an easy backing spot, like if I've got someone in the truck that can help me, I don't care how because I've been doing this about 10 years now, and I don't care. If I got someone that can help me, I want that help. I
Hmm.
will never turn it away. The next thing that's on here that I want to ask you about is Matt. So from what I understand, you were the first person to put up an LGBT booth up at Matt's. I don't know if we've got some pictures of that we can show, but if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Matt's was just when we went to Matt's, I first thought that we were going to get turned down, just because
Hmm.
there's a lot of shows across the country that has turned us down, that we've applied
Oh yeah.
for. So when applying for Matt's, I was like, well, let's just apply for pretty much the biggest one that's now still around. So we applied and they instantly accepted. And but I
Good.
just it was all for visibility. It was for making people feel comfortable. It was all worth the thank yous. In 50 years, there had never been an LGBTQ organization that actually set up at Matt's. And Matt's was amazing. It was an amazing experience, but it also was an educational experience for me. I was focusing on drivers, and
Hmm.
but the first people before we even opened and the booth was there, as people were walking in, it was brokers, it was dispatchers, it was office people, and they were changing
Right.
out their lanyards to the pride lanyards we had for our organization. Some of them were changing into their T-shirts that they got from the booth. So like, it was
Awesome.
a huge eye opener. I know I was focusing on drivers, and I know that there is LGBTQ within all areas and aspects of trucking, but I really wasn't thinking about that at the moment until we went to Matt's. But it was pretty amazing. It was, there was a little bit of hiccups and things, but it's okay. As Matt's grows with us every year when we go to attend, I'm sure we'll be able to do more and be active in more areas. So
Excellent.
you just have to lead by example and grow with things. And everybody has this. I don't know. Everybody just gets stuck on the sexual aspect sometimes, and they don't
Right.
really
Yeah.
think about the organization, or they don't think about you as a driver. They want to focus on things that's really not relevant. So,
Right.
um,
Yep. They don't see you as like the full person that you are.
right.
You know. So yeah. No, I definitely understand that. The next thing that I wanted to talk about now, as a driver that has been in random places around the country for Christmas without any family or so on and so forth. I understand that you do a little Christmas get together. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I always try to do get-togethers throughout the year anyway, but every
Okay.
Christmas we kind of do a thing at home in Florida, and I invite drivers in, and pretty much there's a Pilot Flying J right by my house, and
Hmm.
it's about 10 miles away, maybe 15 miles away, something like that. But
Sure.
yeah, we just kind of have Christmas in Florida, and we usually go to Busch Gardens and SeaWorld, and make it a whole week-long event. And it's just a way to give back to drivers. There's so many people that do not have family, or because they are LGBTQ, don't speak to their families anymore. So,
Hmm.
and then we also have in the past done, prepared larger meals so that we can box up meals and take it back out to the truck stop and give food back to drivers that doesn't have a hot meal that day, because I know how hard it is, or and Iron Skillet's great, and so is all the other restaurants, but you get tired of it. You really do.
Right. Yeah. It's all the same stuff, and it's all really expensive.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
No, definitely get it. Definitely understand that. Let's see. You do a program that vets trucking companies for how friendly they are to members of the LGBT community. Isn't that right?
Yes. Yeah, we do LGBTQ vetted, and it's lgbtqvetted.com. And
Okay.
it is basically a list of companies that we have um, asked a series of questions and given them some scenarios. It's not as easy to get on the list. That's the reason there's not a huge list. It's not as easy as just saying, yeah, we'll hire anybody. I don't want to hear the blanket statement of I'll hire anybody as long as they have a CDL and a medical card. I want to hear what you're going to do if a trans driver, a gay driver, bi, anybody is, you know, um if something happens to them, or how you're going to handle a situation that happens with harassment. Or so we kind
Right.
of put them in a little bit of scenarios when talking to them. And so that's one part of the things that we do. And then we also have a driver memorial program. Driver memorial
Mhm.
program is I lost someone very dear to me, and our vice president Tabitha, it was her husband. And with that program, I just was thinking about families, and how it's just like, if they don't have anybody else in trucking, there's 3,273 drivers that passed away last year. And
Yeah.
so they left home, and they didn't come back, so their family member just gets a phone call. And I just was thinking about all of that. And so we do like a memorial t-shirt, a memorial car charm as it's shown in the picture, and then we send out a letter of condolence to the family, just extending. And it's for everybody. We may be an LGBTQ organization, but we do it for all drivers. As my shirt says here, we have a whole all drivers means all t-shirt, and that's a huge thing for me. And yeah, it's just about all drivers being drivers, and showing respect to the families and the whole group. That's what we are. It's just a big family. And yeah, so.
Excellent. Excellent. I have one question from Missy. She wants to know, how do you park and dock that super rig that you got there? That was we just saw in the pictures there. How do you do it?
um Believe it or not, it turns the trailer a lot faster, but
Oh yeah.
they still expect us to go in all the same docks most of the time. And I've sat there and watched people in day cabs fight, and then I go and park, and I'm fine. So I don't know. I guess I'm just used to it. However, there
Sure.
is a
Yeah.
lot. it's a blessing to have the kitchen and a bathroom, shower, and all this stuff
Right.
in here. It's pretty awesome. But at the same time, um, it can be a hindrance too. I can't park in regular parking spaces. I can't. If you go to the truck stop, I have to be on an end space because if someone's in front of me, a row's in front of me, I can't pull out if
Right.
I'll get blocked in, and then so will both trucks on either side of me. They have to, yeah. So it makes it,
That's
and
great.
then most of the rest areas, a lot of people don't think about these trucks, but when you go to a rest area, it has that really short front end pull out area, and then you have the
Right.
big high curb, and yeah, when you're on that end, you can't pull out. So you have to
Right.
wait till a truck beside you pulls out. Or I've actually asked people, can you back up about 10 feet so I can have the room to swing? So
Right.
it's an amazing truck, and it's a lot of fun. And I think the coolest thing now, since the XBO Pride stuff is on the side, um, seeing all the pictures and the selfies and all the stuff that people are doing from their car, like, and it's kind of funny. But and then everywhere we go, a lot of people, wants to sit here and take pictures of it and everything, and it's cool. So it's all those interactions, and it strikes up conversations. So I get to meet so many people and talk to people, and that's what the whole organization's about. It's just meeting people, talking to people, and I'm always talking. Like this photo here, we had went to a local bar and had was speaking to LGBTQ about the truck and traveling across the country, but a lot of people doesn't think about the driver being LGBTQ. So that's the whole point of going to the local bars. So I try to do local events, local bars, anywhere I can to support LGBTQ community and just drivers as a whole. So the truck itself is getting ready to go through another transition pretty soon, and we're going to do monumental moments in gay history. So Paul's nightclub actually, and the 49 people that passed away, their picture is going to go on the side of the truck. Matthew Shepard, um, Stonewall Riots, Stonewall Club. There's going to be a bunch of different black and white pictures, and it's just going to be more of a memorial wall type thing. But both sides will be different, so it'll be kind of cool just to be able to showcase that and showcase the history that got us to where we are today.
Excellent. We've got about a minute and a half left with you, bud. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the people? Anything that you'd like to plug at this time, or any issues currently happening in our country that you want, in 60 seconds or left, call out?
Yeah, you know what? I just want to lead with, love is love, and when it comes to drivers, everyone is welcome on LGBTQ plus Truck Driver Network. Come see us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're pretty much on LinkedIn, every platform that you can really get to, and everyone is welcome, whether you're LGBTQ or not. It's all about drivers, and if you see us out, come say hi. I talk to everybody, and I love making friends. So I thank you all so much for
Excellent.
having us.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and if I ever see you out on the road, I will definitely do so. I've got a big teal truck that's got a picture of Sully from Monsters Inc. on the side of it. I call him Sully. So that's me.
That's awesome.
All right, cool deal. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, do not turn that dial. We're going to stop for a quick commercial break, but after a quick message from our sponsors, we'll be back with more guests and more important messages for you.
Come join our team at Trucking Life, where you will find that Truckin' Chick, International Asphalt Junkies, Miami Pink Panther, Livin' Lovin' Truckin', The Misadventures of Pat and Heather, and Big Rig Ed, among others. We are showing the world our lives through the windshield. truckinglife.live@gmail.com.
Excellent. And now I'm going to go ahead and welcome on a good friend of mine that I've known for quite a while here. Let's go ahead and say hi to Jeremiah Johnson.
What's up,
What's up,
everybody?
man? Hi there.
Not
All right.
much.
So to kind of give you a
Just
little bit of an intro, Jeremiah was he wasn't a student of mine, but he did come through the program that I used to be a CDL instructor for. So that's how I met him. A good friend of mine was his instructor, and as I understand, should be a member of the audience. So hi, Mark. Um, so I don't know if he's here or not, but there's Mark's little shout out there. So yeah, Jeremiah, if you would be so kind, tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a bit about your journey of your self identity.
Oh, well, man, where to begin with a journey like that? I was
It's never an
raised
easy
in the
question, but
South.
here I am.
Yeah, no, I was raised in the South, in the Bible Belt. Much like Bob, I was definitely raised in a conservative state. Um, a place where, being gay isn't necessarily socially acceptable. I mean, granted, it's much more acceptable now than it was when I was growing up.
Sure.
And while neither of my parents were overly religious, there was a time where I was raised in church very young. Um, and so I'd say probably somewhere around the ages 9 or 10, I started to realize that I was definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know exactly what to call it, but as I got a little older, I started realizing that I was gay. And like I said, even though I was only raised in church for a short time, I mean, I knew what the general belief around home and around, my community was about being gay. So I kept that to
Yeah.
myself. And, I had various experimentations when I was young and with different people, and to affirm my uh, already to affirm what I already felt. And then as I got older, I had my first boyfriend when I was 15. I mean, that was my first love. We dated for 4 years. During that time period, I did get back into church,
Mm-hmm.
almost as something to do, really. And after him and I broke up, I really started throwing myself heavily into the church.
Yeah.
So that it wasn't. I was 18, almost 20, when I got ordained. I was ordained minister. Now during that period, I didn't live what I called a dual life. I didn't, you know, go out and preach on Sunday and then go to, be at the gay club Saturday night or anything like that. Not that I myself believed that being gay was wrong, because I had never been personally convicted of that as far as feeling goes from the gospel standpoint. But because it had been ingrained in me all through my life, I chose to remain abstinent during that time. So I just stayed by myself, and I kept myself busy with church. If the doors were open, I was there. I really tried to find a church to be in 7 days a week if I could.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was a Bible study, a singing event, revival, whatever it was. And I lived that way for a while, and I enjoyed, that aspect of my life. But deep down, I still felt like something was missing.
Sure.
I started watching friends, you know, get married, and some have children, and fall in love and all these things. And I just knew that living the life that I was, there was no way that was going to happen for me.
Right.
So, it was a real struggle for a while, as to what to do. It got harder to keep myself busy, and the harder it got to keep myself busy, the more I thought about it. And so I did what I was always taught to do. I prayed on it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people dispute what I'm about to say, and they can dispute it all they want. I know for me, I still believe in God, whether I believe the way the Scripture teaches, teaches about homosexuality or being gay or any of that is completely irrelevant to the fact that I really finally came through peace with the decision to just come out and be myself. And that culminated on holidays of, to choose. It was December 24th, 2012. So, Merry Christmas, Mom and Dad.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I had entirely prepared myself, and I've told younger people this that are maybe still closeted, that know that I'm gay and have asked questions about any kind of advice for that. And I would still give this advice today to anybody that may be struggling with that. I would fully and mentally prepare yourself, emotionally prepare yourself for the worst possible outcome of if you tell the people that you intend to tell in your life. That way, if it happens, you're already geared up for it. It's not a surprise to you. It's still going to hurt, but you're going to be prepared for that pain and how to process that. You're going to be prepared to lose those people. And it's, if you're not, and it's a to wait until you're at that moment that you are prepared. You don't have to. You come out in your own time. I was 21. I know people that have come out younger. My husband will talk about he came out, when he was younger. Well, he was kind of pulled out. And he has different experience than I did. Now, I was fully prepared to lose my family that day. Not because, like I said, they're religious, but they are old-fashioned.
Sure.
My mom was born in 1960. She was raised in the mountains of East Tennessee, where even today there are still very few black people, let alone openly gay people. And, my dad was a bit of a follower. Whatever mom's reaction was going to be, it was definitely going to be his. So, I told mom first because I knew that whatever happened with her was likely what would happen with him. And I'll tell you, my mom's a no-nonsense kind of lady, and I took her outside, and I told her, I started with, I'm leaving the ministry, and she asked me why. And then I went through the big, long speech and got it out. And when I say my mom, I'll clarify shortly with this. This woman raised me from age 2. She's my stepmom, but she's mom. I haven't seen or heard from my biological mom in in that long. And so
that's your mom. That's your mom. That is what it is.
That's mama for me, man.
Right. Yeah.
And so I got everything out, and both my parents smoke, and she was standing there, and she said, "Okay," she said, "Can I ask you something?" After I finally got it all out, she said, "I said, yeah." She said, "What makes you think I didn't already know that?" And I said, "Well, Mom, I kind of like to think I hit it pretty well." And she's like, "Well, you can think what you want." She said, "But I've known since you were 9 years old. I've just been waiting on you to tell me." And she told me at the time that she said, "Now, you know how I was raised." And she said, "I probably don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm not going to love you or treat you any differently than I ever have. You're still my kid." And she said, "And if you have any problems going forward," because she knew that I was going to have to come out, to everybody eventually. I was the assistant pastor of a Baptist church, so I had to tell some people.
Right.
And, so she told me, she said, "Now, if anybody gives you any flack, you just send them my way and I'll kick their ass." And I just said, "That's okay, Mom." And she grabbed me around the neck and she hugged me. She said, "It's going to be okay, son. I want you to know I love men too." That's what she told me.
Yeah.
And so it broke a lot of tension in me, and it was like euphoric, man. It was like the biggest weight lifted off my shoulders that I could be my authentic self with her, even though I never expected to be able to do that. I fully expected her to go off on me and me, have to leave and never come back. And I was ready for that. I was going to be okay if that was what happened. And then I said, "Well, now we got to tell Daddy." She said, "That might be a problem." And she said, "If you want to, when you leave," she said, "we'll just go back in and like everything's normal. If you want to, when you leave, though, I'll take him in the bedroom and I'll tell him." I said, "No. If he's going to hear it, he's going to hear it from me." So she went and got him. Now, my dad, somebody's described as my dad, even though I was bigger than he was at the time. Of course, he was always a big man when I was growing up, but even though size wise I was bigger than he was at the time, they've seen me. I was always small compared to him, even if I was bigger, if that makes sense. He was a very
Sure.
quiet and solemn man for the most part. No nonsense. He's definitely a sarcastic asshole. So if you ever encounter me too much, I get that from him sometimes. And
Sure.
he came out and he already looked mad. Like when he came out, he's like, "What is going on out here?" He had his glasses on. He had a cigarette in his hand. And she stood there and she told him, she said, "Now, Bobby, you're going to sit here and you're going to listen to everything he's got to say, and you're not going to say nothing." And like I said, my daddy's a follower. He said, "Okay, go for it, boy." And he took a drag on his cigarette. And I got everything out. And I'll never forget it. When I finally got the words "I'm gay" out of my mouth, I watched his eyes got a little wider. He took a real long drag off that cigarette. And he was staring at me, and I was staring at them, and she was staring at him. And my mom's not patient. She going to say something? He said, "What do you say to that?" And he said, "What did you say?" Because again, he's a follower. And she said, "Well, I told him that he's our son and that we love him." And he said, "Well, that's true. You're my only boy. I love you." I said, "Well, I said, I wanted you to know who I really am, and I wanted you to know that this journey for me has nothing to do with anything that you guys have done raising me." He said, "Sure as hell wasn't nothing I done." He took another drag. And he said, "But boy, if that's who you are," he said, "Yeah, we love you. You know,
That's awesome,
I
man.
don't know how I feel about it yet." And and he made me nervous because like we weren't the closest family in the world. And I could go. I mean, hell, I live 15 minutes away, and I could go about talking to either one of them. I had a
Sure.
real rough childhood in ways. There were some definitely dark parts of childhood. I mean, they did their best, and I mean, I'll never say they didn't. I mean, there are definitely ways to prove. My dad always told me, he said, if you've learned anything from me, it's how not to be a dad. And I mean, I miss him, and he died 5 years ago. He died the year I started trucking. He was only 48. And Mom, we lost this just before Mother's Day.
That's really sad.
So
I'm sorry to hear that.
it is.
I didn't know that.
It's hard, man. I mean, I'm 31, and I know a lot of people who are way older than me. They still got their parents, and I mean, my dad died so young, and I really hate that. It really feels to me like I got to know my more after I came out, because it's just like after I came out, this whatever wedge was between us kind of just pulled a little bit, and we got a little closer. Now he messaged me after I got home that day, and he's like, "We're not done talking about this. I've got some questions." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like he's done set and processed more. This
Right.
isn't going to go well.
And then you're
And then I
afraid
said,
what
"Well,
questions he's got.
Oh yeah." And then after a couple days, I was like, "Man, like as soon as I can get back up there, I was busy with work and stuff." And then after a couple days, he messaged me. My dad worked third shift, so he would come in the morning, and Mom would be watching daytime TV, and he'd sit there and watch daytime TV with her. Mom was a big Jerry Springer and Steve Wilkos fan and all that stuff. She'd watch that stuff every day, and amongst other stuff. But she had Ricky Lake on, and he messaged me, and he says, "I was watching Ricky Lake this morning." I was like, "Good Lord, what is about to come out of your
No
mouth?"
good story ever starts with that.
And he said, "Have you ever heard of Lance Bass from NSYNC?" And I'm like, "Yes, Dad. Yes, I have." He's like, "Well, he's gay." And he's like, he said, if I remember right, he said the episode was essentially about like having to come out like in a small town setting, just like I did, and like all that stuff. He said, and honestly, before this, I watched this, I had all kind of questions. He said, but they pretty much nailed all them questions for me today watching the show. He said, so I don't have any more questions for you. He said, I totally get it. My nephew's mixed race, and at the time when he was my parents' first grandchild, at the time when he was born, they did not believe in having mixed race children. But I mean, as soon as that kid took breath, that totally went out the window.
Sure.
That was their grandbaby. They raised him. And I mean, they spoiled the hell out of that boy. And I mean, all of my, nieces and nephews mostly are mixed race. And like I said, we don't care about any of that. Neither did he. And he told me that. He said, son, he said, when Kendall was born, my nephew. He said, God opened my eyes to a whole new world and a whole new love that I had never seen before. And he said, that's what he's doing now, and I have no doubt at all in what God's doing. He said, so, I love you. He said, if this is going to make you happy, he said, go for it. He said, the only thing I'm ever going to ask is that you don't, just completely throw away a relationship with God that you've built. And I said, well, I never intended to do that. I called my pastor. I explained everything to him. And I mean, to be a Southern Baptist church, they had a fantastic reaction. They loved me. They never batted an eyelash at. I mean, I told them, I said, no, to keep you out of trouble with the association, I'm not going to be preaching or singing or doing that stuff anymore. I said, I might come. I said, I need some time, to get away. And he said, well, I need to tell the adults. I said, that's fine. I didn't plan on having like a big coming out. Like, I told my dad, I said, I'm not going to take out a billboard ad. I said, I'm just going to be myself. And if people ask, I'm just going to tell them the truth. And he told the adults, and everybody at church was fine. But there was one lady who just didn't take it well. And she got on my Facebook at the time, and she posted a bunch of verses on my wall and stuff. And, well, he was mad. He called me. He said, I am so sorry. And he was mad. He let her have it. And so since that happened, it kind of forced me to make a public statement so that I could explain to people what was going on. And I did. And, and since then I waited a few months, and then I went back to church, and I mean, she squalled and she cried and she, begged me for forgiveness. We made up. I don't hold on to stuff like that. And honestly, it was just almost better for me to just go ahead and do it anyway. So then I started living my life, my authentic life, and I have never looked back. I've never regretted that. I was out for 3 years before I decided to get into trucking.
Okay, that was going to be my next question.
Well, 5 years.
We're a little past halfway the time that we have together, so I was like, all right, we're going to transition here at some point.
Yeah, well, it was 5 years. 5 years. 2017, I got into trucking, and kind of just I ended up doing a driving job on on the side. I was just driving a little tour bus for a band all around the Southeast, and I really loved that. I was working at a call center, man, and I could do the work and it was okay, but I didn't just love it. And I finally started researching trucking, and I decided to take the jump. I had some encouragement to go to rail, and then I took the jump, man, and I have loved every minute of this journey. I met my husband because I was trucking through Lexington, and I was on Tinder, and we swiped, and that's Jonathan there. Like I said, I'm 31. I was born in 1991. My husband was born in 2000, so if that makes anybody out there feel old. We were that beach there. We were married on December 30th there in Oregon. We kind of eloped. We flew out there. My friend Brittany and her girlfriend live out there, and Brittany performed the ceremony for us. It was just intimate. It was just me, him, her girlfriend, and a friend of ours who just all kind of took video for us. And that was a friend of mine's wedding. Like we do clean up pretty well. And we have got, we don't have any children yet. We do want children, but we have a lot of fur children. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. I mean, we have 5 dogs, 10 cats, 2 snakes. Like, we've got our front door mat actually says Happy Zoo inside. And, and then, if anyone can't see, I've got my little buddy with me.
I was going to make that joke as like, yeah, man, I've been sitting here this whole time sitting here stroking my wiener, so I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Yeah, I mean, this is my wiener. And if anybody can't see it already, if you look at his back real good, he's got a J built into it.
There we go.
So he was made for me. And this is Bo, and you spelling of his name because it's Cajun spelling, and since you live down that way, it's Beaux for Bo.
Right. I mean, that's the only way to spell it. That's the right way to spell it.
Oh yeah. Now, I don't know if you have any questions to me in regards to the trucking industry itself, but I mean I've talked a bunch, and if you have any questions, you can ask them.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man, it's the easiest interview I've ever done because you done pretty much said everything I wanted you to say without me having to say anything. We've only got about 4 more minutes here. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about the Supreme Court decision, U.S. v. Windsor, June 2013, because you are a married gay man. I don't know if you want to talk about, like, where were you that day and what did that day mean to you?
Well, I can't remember exactly where I was. I mean, I remember the news, and I remember being so excited to just finally feel like, if I do want to get married sometime, I can do that without any hindrance, and I could be just as miserable as the rest of the straight community as a married man. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm not. I'm very happily married, and but I will say that when I stepped down from my ministry, I gave up my license. And I didn't have to turn it in or anything like that, but um, I did want to continue to have the ability to marry people. So I went through the AMA, got
Mhm.
certified online to do that. And I mean, I've even beforehand I had done some weddings, but I got to do my first same-sex wedding with a friend of mine and her girlfriend at the time, and it was an honor for me to be able to do that. And I have married every one of my closest friends to their significant others.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
I told them after my last one, I said, I'm kind of done with it at this point. I said, now I would still do it. Like if there's a gay couple out there that that I knew that needed to get married, which I don't really know. I don't really have that many in my life. Not that I'm against it by any means. I just don't have a whole ton of gay friends anymore. Um,
Yep.
Still have, I would call them acquaintances. I mean, I still know them. I still talk with them every now and then. But I don't, like, nor me nor myself or my husband, we don't do gay clubs, gay parties, nothing like that. I'm old. That's what it feels like, and he's old soul too. So, we go
Yeah.
home and we go out to dinner. We go to the movies. We, paint on the house, do work in the house, or just spend time with the babies. Like that's a lot of what we do a lot of the time. But the decision was important to me, and it was important to me to give people the ability to have a nice ceremony um,
Mhm.
with somebody who can not only appreciate the love that they share with their person, but who will embody that in a ceremony. Because I write each ceremony for each individual.
Sure.
I did a wedding for people I'd never met them before at all, and a friend of mine that knew that I did weddings, and she was like, their pastor fell through. They're getting married in 3 days. Can you do the ceremony? I said, well, yeah, but I said I need to know them. So they actually had a website designed to kind of tell their love story a little bit, and
Sure.
then so that helped. And then I actually talked with both of them and kind of got to know. And then I wrote a unique ceremony just to them. Um,
Mhm. We've
and
only, I don't mean to cut you off there, but we've only got about a minute left there.
sure.
I didn't know if you had any parting words, anything that you wanted to share, any organizations or anything in particular you wanted to plug before we say goodbye.
Well, Bobby said it well. Love is love, and I really appreciate Trucking Life taking the opportunity to celebrate this month with us. I mean, I know there are people out there who don't understand this movement at all, who don't agree with this movement, and that's fine. They don't have to, but the movement's going to be moving whether they agree with it or not. It's
Mhm.
not about who we have sex with. It's more about celebrating the ability to love who I want to love without any kind of persecution and with the equal rights that any straight couple would have. That's what the movement is truly about. Is just celebrating how far we've come. People like Bobby who have fought even longer than I have, and who does way more in the community than I do to
Right.
advocate for that. And we appreciate it. And like I said, I appreciate, having the ability to jump on this platform and tell my story a little bit. Maybe it'll resonate with some people. Maybe it won't.
Right.
And that's fine.
Oh,
I enjoy telling it. So.
excellent. Nope, I guarantee that it has. Excellent. Well, we are out of time for me and you today. So, Jeremiah, I want to say thank you for coming on, and thank you for being a part of our trucking life. And we'll talk soon. Okay.
Thanks again. We'll see you, Ed.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Let's go ahead and bring on our next guest, Miss Stephanie Warren. Hi, Stephanie. Oh, she moved outside. Oh, maybe we don't. I don't think we have any audio. I can't hear anything. Maybe maybe try leaving and coming back. Perhaps. All right, so we're going to give Stephanie a few minutes here um, to keep you guys entertained here. This is how Trip decided to fall asleep on me. Oh, there we go. Can we hear you now? Nope, I have no audio. I don't know if it's just that I can't hear you. Maybe can someone in the comments tell me, do we have any audio coming from Stephanie? Because it might be me. I can't hear anything. Let me check the little show chat here. Yep. Okay. Can't hear her. Okay. I don't know if there's anything you can try changing, Stephanie. I'm guessing that you can hear me, but I can't. I can't hear anything that you're saying. Oh, okay. So let's give her one more shot, I suppose.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Haha. Third
All
time's a charm.
right. Haha. Took those doo-doo head headphones off.
Excellent. All
You
right.
pay
So
a
that was
fortune
it. That
for them
made
and
the
they don't
difference.
work.
Man, I tell you what, I paid like $220 for the most expensive Bluetooth trucker headset. You know, the Blue Parrot, what is it, the B650 XT, whatever the numbers and letters
Yes.
are or whatever.
750.
And yeah, it is. I'm about ready to throw it out the damn window. I tell you what. All right, cool deal. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We haven't had an opportunity to formally meet, so but I definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your Sunday to come on and have brunch with us.
Yes,
Um,
I'm happy to be invited. Thank you so much.
Definitely, anytime, anytime. So you are as I understand it, you are a close friend to our very own mother trucker, Missy Rickman. And y'all went to CDO school together. So take some time to tell how was that experience?
Oh man, it was awesome. It was awesome. I
Yeah,
mean, it was nice to get there and see some friendly faces, and everybody made it just so easy for me to relax and settle in, and it was just seamless. It was pretty seamless,
sure.
and me and her clicked right away. Oh, she's so funny. She's
Mhm.
hilarious.
Yeah,
Um, and just a clean soul, so just laid back. It just
right.
made everything
Yeah.
so easy for me.
No, she's the reason why I'm here. She's the one that brought me into the fold, so to speak. So no, I owe a lot to Missy. She's a great person, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, All right. So I also understand that there's a TikTok involved. I don't know if we can run that or if you can talk to.
Timothy! Timothy!
That
Okay.
is a catchphrase and a half right there. I will let you explain that one.
We love having fun. That's what we do when we're together. We just
Right?
act cool. um, but this I don't even know how the Timothy thing came up, but
It,
now we
it's
talk
it's
to each
it's
other.
based off of a yeah. From what I understand, it's based off of a trucker named Timothy that she knows that she finds entertaining, and that's yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the way
That's
she
how it
says her name.
goes. Yeah.
Right. I think it's about as professional and kid friendly as I can say who Timothy is.
Right. As you
He's a
see, I,
character.
I held back. I was like, I'm not gonna be the one to expose that.
That's good stuff. Cool. So I've been asking everybody to share their journey with their discovering their self identity. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Well, I've been out since I was 18. I grew up in New
Mhm.
York. I'm in Georgia now. I'm a Southern person now, but I'm born.
Transplant.
Yeah, I was born and raised in New York, and um,
Mhm.
I feel like I had it easy because being in New York, I mean, it's kind of easy coming out in New York, whereas Jeremiah's story, people living in the South is a lot harder. But I
Yeah.
was scared. especially telling my family. That was like the most important thing, is for them to accept me. And I was raised by my grandmother and my two aunts, and we're very family oriented. I was raised in Catholic schools. I went to
Oh,
Catholic elementary and Catholic high school.
peace
Uh,
be with you.
yes. So, going to Bible class was like, oh man, it's like, am I gonna be accepted? I don't know. But um, once I told them, my grandmother, who's my mother, I call her mom, was basically the same as Jeremiah's mom. They always know. Moms know. They're like, oh, I
Right.
was just waiting for you to tell. Yeah. So
Right.
I had a pretty easy coming out story. Um,
Mhm.
and once I was out, I mean, I was like unstoppable after that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. There is a comment that came across that says, "Look at Stephanie's shirt." I don't know.
Oh,
What you got going on right there?
pineapples. Pineapples.
Pineapples.
Swore that's the girls. Yeah.
Excellent. And if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool deal. So what got you into trucking? Tell us about your trucking journey.
Well, it started when I was back in 2007. I signed up with Schneider. I got the whole training bit and everything in
Yeah.
PA. I was living in PA at the time. And
Yeah. So you went to that facility they got around the Carlisle area. Is that where it
yeah,
was?
yep.
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 I did 8 months at Schneider, and yeah, that's a topic for another day.
A little longer than me. Hey.
uh, I tried. I started with their tanking because I wanted to learn how to be a tanker driver. I think
Hmm.
I lasted 2 or 3 months there, and then I tried their drive-in. I tried so many different things. I was so patient with them, and yeah, no. And then I came here to GP Transco, and I've been mile after mile, nothing but smiles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they were a good company back when I was with them. I had no complaints
Okay.
about the company, the pay, or anything like that. I mean, I was young and I was just getting in, and I really didn't know what opportunities were out there. So whatever I got, well, I was very satisfied. But I was not ready. So after
Yeah.
I got my license and everything, and I actually trained in the tanker, but
Okay.
but it was empty at all times. Basic,
Hmm.
mostly for the most part, it was empty at all times. At
Sure.
least while I was
There's a
driving.
there's always a little bit at the bottom. You
Mm-hmm.
never really can get it out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I did drive van for 3 months. I lasted 3 months. And
Mm.
I wasn't ready. I was young, I wanted to go and run the streets and not be responsible for anything. Yeah, so I that was
Yeah.
my short trucking, and then 10 years later, here I come
Hmm.
to prime, because I kept my
Right. Yeah.
license, I kept up with my DOT and all that good stuff.
Right.
And soon as I got um, soon as I got to Georgia, I decided I wanted to go. I did schooling for a while. I went to college, and um, I got my associates in business administration, and then I went to go on to get my bachelor's in mathematics. And I was like, oh my God, the loans are adding up. I'm like, I don't have no income coming in. I was like, I cannot do this for much longer. And I was like, I'm going back to trucking. And also at the time, my dad was doing trucking, and he was
Okay.
working for. Well, he told me, he was like, I'm gonna. He did 20. Sorry.
It's okay. We're all pet parents around here. I don't know if you saw or not, but he is passed out.
Oh, look at. I got one, and I'm here at my uncle's, and he has four, so it's five of them here, and
I gotcha.
they just came outside, so they're going crazy. So my dad, he was a carpenter. Hold on, one sec.
Yeah, go ahead. Handle.
Sorry.
You're good.
My dad, he was a carpenter for 22 years, and he decided he wanted to go out on the road and try it out. So he started CRST, then he went to Trans Am, and he ended up at Hale. That was his last job and doing trucking. So by the time I got back in, he was working for Trans Am, and then he moved to Hale. But we had some good times being on the road at the same time. And
Not bad.
I was at Prime for 3 years. During my last year, I lost my dad. Actually, this began end of January 21st. So that was one of the reasons why I left trucking. So
No, I understand that. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I'm coming back, but I just had to find myself, and I'm doing other things. Right now, I took a class online to do hypnotic therapy, hypnosis therapy, uh, which does like past life regressions and things like that. I don't know if you know anything about it. If you have any questions, just ask.
No, no, I don't have any questions about that. No, it's all about you um, and what you got going on. We're having some technical difficulties in the background. Are you still able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Jed had everything froze up with him. I don't know if you saw that message come across or not. We're going to try and keep the show going on here while Jed gets things going on in the background. We still got a little bit of time together. Let's see. Are there any impactful experiences, like, as a lesbian trucker, like, have you ever, like, what, can you share, like, some sort of like impactful experience that meant a lot with you, that maybe like, if you were straight, maybe you wouldn't have had. Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah. Oh man. I think the biggest thing that I have is that used to really get under my skin was going to the bathroom in the truck stops. That was
Okay.
the
Yeah.
biggest issue for me. I wouldn't say it got under my skin. Nah, I take that back. It really just, I don't understand why people are so worried about what we are instead of, being who we are.
Right.
If
Yeah.
that makes any sense. And
Oh yeah.
I would get it like a lot of old ladies would walk in the bathroom and they'd look, and I'd be washing my hands and I'd be like,
Yeah.
and they're like, what? And I was like, yes, I'm human. I'm human.
Right.
Come on in.
I had to go potty.
It's okay.
Right.
Yeah. So that I think that was like my biggest thing. But for the most part, I mean, trucking life is great. I mean, a lot of people are aware out there. I never had any issues, you know, um, any confrontations, any of that. I feel like we're more accepted now than we were before, and I didn't have any issues besides the bathroom.
Right.
And
Well,
a
that's
lot of
good.
people call me sir, sir. It's like, oh, you talking to me?
Yeah.
And then once I start talking, it's like, oh my gosh, what is it? I don't know.
That's messed up. Oh man. Yeah. No. That would probably be the thing that would get under my skin and be like, look, damn it.
Yeah.
Um, Good stuff. Let's see, are there any, all right, so we've got about 5 minutes left.
Mhm.
We could end early, or the last thing that I had on here was, is there any like current event or issue or anything that currently faces the LGBT community that you're following, that you're concerned about, or anything like that you'd like to discuss publicly?
I I will say this, I don't follow a lot of LGBTQ things, only not because I don't believe in my own people and I don't support you guys, and you know, we are a family. But I feel like we are isolated, And I think,
Mhm.
like I said, it goes back to what I said, if we can focus more on who we are or being who we are than what we are. And I think it resonates from, birth,
Sure.
when we're born, we have to be male or female. When we're born, we have to be a race, and I feel like none of those things matter. We're all human beings. We all, look the same. We have the same anatomy, besides different body parts, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. No, we are all human, and then
yes,
whether, whatever gender we're assigned at birth, or, any expectations of our sexuality that might be, thrust upon us by our parents or by our family or by our community, at the end of the day, we're all human, and, regardless of who we love, we're still deserving of love, if that
right,
makes sense.
right. And I tend to focus on the positive and the present instead of the past. I mean, I handle the Black movement the same way, because if we stay thinking about what happened, we can't move on to, what we are right now. And I just feel like it's a distraction. It's a distraction. They want us to focus on the negative so we cannot move forward. And that's how I feel.
Excellent. All right, so we've got like a few more minutes here. We're still having a little background technical difficulties. I don't know if you're able to see these messages that are coming across my screen,
No,
but
you know,
I got you. But yeah, so we're going to take a commercial break here in just in a little bit. But before we say goodbye to you, are there any final words? Any organizations that you want to plug, or any groups that you're a part of that you think that might be important for people to know about, or any movements or anything like that?
I just want to tell everybody that I love you and enjoy Pride Month, and just be positive and move forward and be in the present. I just want to show my support. That's why I wanted to be on here. And thank you guys for the opportunity.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of our trucking life. And so now, Jed, I don't know if you can see me or not, but we can go ahead and take that last commercial break, and I think it's going to make us have to refresh and maybe lose the live stream, and we might have to start it again. So everyone that's watching me right now, bear with us through these technical difficulties. You might have to join the live stream again. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what we can to fix this. Take that commercial break, and then maybe get our last guest on. So go ahead, Jed, whatever buttons you got to press, go ahead and hit them.
He might not be able to hear you.
Okay. So yeah, let's see, it says Jed can't run a commercial, so it may just be dead air. Um, let's see. What if we all quit? Hold on. Should we all just leave? Hold on. Bear with me, everybody. Bear with me. I'm trying to get guidance from the showrunners here. Can you still hear me? I know my video may have stopped. Nope, maybe not. No. Nope, I am by myself.
Come check out our new website at www.truckinglife.live and get to know some of the people you pass by on the interstates, the truckers who've committed their career to moving commodities by way of an 18-wheeler, also known as a semi-truck. At Trucking Life, our passion is showing the world how it all gets moved from here to there, and that we are doing. On our website, you'll find live streamers and the links to their pages, podcasts, blogs, photo galleries, videos, live shows, and so much more. And for all the truckers and trucking enthusiasts, you can check out our merchandise. our VIP fan club, as well as industry training, public service announcements, partner links, and a growing database of information. Our passion is showing the world how it all gets moved from here to there. Our business is doing it with class. Come join the tribe at Trucking Life and see what our new website is all about.
All right, excellent. I think we are back up and running entirely. So now I'm going to go ahead and bring on my final guest. This is a man who's very near and dear to my heart because he was one of mine. He is mine. He was my CDL student. So if anyone ever has any problems with the way he drives, I'm the one that taught him everything he knows. So you go ahead and you let me know about it, and I'll handle it. But let's go ahead and bring on Caleb Fernandez. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on? Howdy.
I can't think of the last time we talked to each other, man. It's been several years. It is great to see you, and it is great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being a part of it and for sticking with us through this whole thing.
Oh, yeah, likewise. Thanks for inviting me.
Excellent. All right, so I've been asking everyone to discuss their journeys, right, with their discovering their self-identity. So take the time. The floor is yours. What story? What do you want to share?
All right, yeah. Where to start?
Right.
So I had two discoveries. The initial, though, I think the first, though I didn't have the language for it. So I didn't realize what it was at the time. But I remember in preschool, they had the little girls put their little backpacks and their lunchbox and their jackets on the one side and the boys on the other side. And as I walked in, I was told to do that. Most mornings I kind of was a little uncomfortable with it, though I didn't know why. And I would like to put it on the boys. And a couple of times I did, and I was told, no, go put it on the other side. You don't go in the spot. I was like, all right. And,
Right.
and then, so I just had little inklings like that. Some of the games that I would play as kids and such. If there were, gender roles in the games, then I would almost always take a male role. But yeah, I didn't really have language for it, and I didn't really know how to. Yeah. But then, so far as my bisexuality, that I did realize a lot earlier. I remember when Ellen came out, which I know is pretty common, like for a lot of people. My family watched her sitcom, so I asked what gay was. My mom explained it to me, and I remember thinking right then, even though I don't know, like 9, 10 or something at the time, maybe 11, I don't know. I thought, oh, well, wouldn't it be cool if you could date either one? And then I eventually came to the realization, oh yeah, that does exist, and I still kind of tried to choose, but then eventually realized that, oh no, I'm bisexual. Now, coming back to being trans, the way that I discovered that, it's funny that it took me as long as it did to figure it out in hindsight, because very similar to the Ellen situation in my being bisexual, I remember it was Priscilla, Queen of the Desert was on TV, which is a movie, if people aren't familiar, about most of the characters are drag queens. And one of them, she ends up transitioning. She's transgender. And so I kind of learned what that was through watching that movie, and probably a couple of questions that I asked my mom, because she was in the room watching it too. And I remember thinking, oh, that's pretty cool. Wouldn't it be cool if we could do it the other way too?
Right.
So that one took me till high school when I learned, oh, yeah, obviously, yeah, you could go the other way as well. And so I then realized I was trans. Now, I came out as bisexual Well, first I was in like my school's gay straight alliance. We were the second one in the state of Utah, if I remember right. And they, at the time when I was in high school, tried to make them illegal. So, we protested, we did all of that and whatnot. And I came out, during all of that to my friends and then to my parents separately, and to the rest of my friends and so on. Both of my parents were pretty accepting. My mom kind of needed a minute, and then she was fine. My dad, my parents, yeah, they're divorced, and we were visiting him. We flew to Atlanta and we're driving down to Miami to see his parents, and we always went to the Holiday Inn in Lake City, Florida. We were eating the breakfast buffet. I told him when we were eating the breakfast, and he said nothing. He was stone faced, just nothing, and he walked to get another plate of breakfast. And then, so I was just
Like,
sitting there like,
if I'm gonna deal with this shit this early in the morning, I'm gonna need more pancakes.
pretty much. I'm looking at my sister, and she's just like, but then he walked back, and he's just like, okay, we'll talk about this later. And we talked about it, and he had some kind of questions. I don't really remember what, because it wasn't a whole lot, and he was sort of okay with it. I'd say he was okay with it, but he also thought it was a phase, in a way. And especially, he's like, oh, you're a teenager, you're kind of exploring. It's like, well, I guess, but and he also definitely was of the mindset thinking that, well, if I'm bisexual, then that means I should be able to, end up with a guy anyway, right? So he was like, oh, yeah, you'll probably end up in a straight relationship in the end anyway. Then, of course, about a year later,
the
I
mental
finally...
gymnastics that you need to think that through.
Yeah, exactly. About a year later, I'm pretty sure I asked my mom first, because I had done some research, going down to the library downtown, even skipping school to do so with my best friend. He was the only one that knew for a while that I was thinking that I was trans. And I wasn't too sure, and I knew it was a big decision, and I knew that it would change things a lot, and I was really scared of coming out. But then as my chest started to fill out, it just kind of, it clicked. I said, all right, yeah, that's definitely what's going on here. So I asked my mom first whether I could go on hormone blockers, and tried to convince her. I said, it doesn't have to be anything permanent. It's not for me. I could just as easily go off them, and then my puberty could continue. Or if I decide to stay on them, then, and she said no. She said she wasn't really sure that it was something that I at that age could decide. And I asked my dad same thing, and he came up with the same thing, except his reaction was a little stronger. He wasn't angry or anything. He was just like, no, you should meditate and pray on this, and something about it being an affront to the sacred feminine or whatever. I was raised Catholic. Neither of my parents are very religious, but definitely it's definitely a big enough deal that I came into it. I think especially my dad was a little confused, because he remembered when I was a kid, one of these little hints, he remembered when I was a kid that I, for a little while, really, really wanted to be a nun, because something in me loved the idea of just this shapeless outfit that I would wear all the time, and just kind of this, I know that they're all women, but this genderless appearance that really appealed to me.
Right, yeah.
So he brought that up a couple of times as well. But then, I kept it in. I do know I told a couple more people, but I kind of loosely planned that when I was 18, I'd start saving up and I would do it on my own. But then I realized it was kind of expensive, and I just kind of was putting it off. And then it finally got to a point that I thought, I'm just not going to do this. I'm just going to stick with as I am. It's all right. I'm bisexual. And I'm a woman and I'll go for it, you know. And I kind of wore that costume for a few years until my mid-20s. I had this just depressive breakdown, and I realized what it was. It was like, I'm done with it. I'm just done with it. So
Right.
I
Yeah, I think
went
that's
to a
something that.
therapist, and
Oh, good.
yeah, you know,
Yeah. I
no,
was
go
just
on.
gonna say, is like that's something that like a lot of people may not really recognize about transsexual people, is that like trying to like hide it or whatever is like really difficult on them mentally. A lot of them, some of them don't survive it. Some of them just commit suicide.
It's
So it's a very
exhausting.
serious
Yeah,
thing. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Not being who you know that you are on the inside, right? The outside and the inside are not in sync. And it's
exactly.
yeah. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to make that
No,
point.
you're good. You're good. I but yeah. So then, I saw a therapist. I came out to a few more people individually. I remember the first relative that I came out to was one of my aunts, because she had always called me CJ since I was like a baby. And
Hmm.
so I don't know, something about that, since that was the name that I was gonna pick in between, because I didn't know what I wanted to be called yet. Um,
Right.
I told her first, and she was cool with it. So I was like, all right. So my aunt, who lives in rural North Carolina and is married to this guy from Midland, Texas, is cool with it. I think I can go forward. And I told more people. My mom was completely cool with it at that point. She said, "You've clearly thought about it, and you're clearly serious about it. So yeah, of course." And my dad unfortunately had passed away by then. Like I was 22 at that time, and this was like 5 years after that. So
Right.
I don't know how he would have reacted, but but yeah, most people, I'm very fortunate. Most people were all right with it. I didn't lose very many people from it, so that was pretty good. That was pretty cool. And yeah, I started on my hormonal replacement therapy. Was on it
Hmm.
for about a year. And then when I lost my job and my good union insurance, then I was kind of bouncing around jobs for a little bit, trying to decide
Hmm.
what I wanted to do, and off the hormone therapy, in the meantime, which is real great.
Right.
But
Right.
then I got into trucking, which I had wanted to do for years. I always loved driving. I mean, I was in and out of depressive episodes, like since I was a teenager, and which oddly they've pretty much ended since I've come out and been transitioning. So I wonder what caused that. But uh, but yeah, something that I would do to either relax or to calm down or to feel better would be I would go on long drives, and so I thought, boy, it'd be cool if I could get paid to do that. Though it took a few years before I would be able to do that because I had a lot of speeding tickets when I was in my early 20s. So,
Little
I was
speed
good at
demons.
driving. I was just not very responsible with it
You,
in my
you
early
weren't
20s.
you
So,
were good at driving, but you weren't good at not getting caught.
yeah, there you go. I don't know. I was all right at not getting caught. Remember how often I was speeding? But no, my last speeding ticket was in Florida. I remember. I had just moved there, and it was this like I was used to speeding tickets out west, and I moved to Florida and had like this $300 speeding ticket, and with the money I was making at the time, that was not going to
Right.
work out. So, thankfully, a few years before I got into trucking, I had already stopped speeding, or at least stopped speeding too badly.
Right.
Uh, so yeah,
That's
there I
good.
went.
Yeah. So you talked about your choice to come into trucking, but one of the things that's so great about you as a person, one of the reasons that I think you kind of stuck around in my mind is a lot of the work that you do.
Ed, you froze up, at least on my end. Oh, you guys can still see me and hear me? All right, I guess I'll talk more then. Oh, geez. Or, we're gonna go to a commercial break? All right. I know Ed was about to ask me something, so. Okay.
Come join our team at Trekking Life, where you will find that Trekkin' Chick, International Asphalt Junkies, Miami Pink Panther, Livin' Lovin' Trekkin', The Misadventures of Pat and Heather, and Big Rig Ed, among others. We are showing the world our lives through the windshield. TrekkingLife.live@gmail.com.
All right. Hello again. So yeah, I guess I will talk a little bit more about transitioning. So yeah, when I first got into trucking and being off the testosterone for a while, I almost transitioned a little bit because of it. So that was a little awkward. I went
There we
in
go.
with my. Oh, hey Ed.
Hey.
Oh, good.
All
I
right.
was
Yeah.
only just gonna. I was just starting with when you met me. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Go.
so
Yeah. The story that I was gonna tell. Where were you at? I'm sorry. Let me not cut you off.
no, you're good. I was just saying. I was just talking about how I kind of detransitioned a little bit
Oh,
accidentally.
okay.
Well, not accidentally, but
Yeah.
due to the circumstances of not being on the hormones. So I was gonna
Hormones.
start kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
about the
So
beginning of my trucking journey.
right. Yeah. The story that I like to tell, it kind of humanizes, the kind of inherent awkwardness of the whole thing is so like you were off HRT for a while, and so you were presenting as female, and and I was starting a new class. I only knew y'all's names, and I remember when you walked into the class, I was standing there, and the lizard part in my back of my brain was like, "That's a girl," and and so I was like, all right, I don't have any female names on my name tents here. What's going on? Like, is this person like in the wrong spot or whatever? And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna figure this out quick. I'm thinking I'm gonna be slick. I'm like, all right, everybody go sit by your name tents. And you just confidently strode on over and you sat next to the name that said Caleb. And I'm like, I have never met a woman named Caleb. That is interesting. And
Yeah.
part of it is I got to ask for everyone's documents, and take copies and make sure everything's real and everything. And I got to yours back, in our little office next to the copier there. I'm looking at yours, and it says sex, is male, and I'm like, one of these things is not like the other. And then it's like clunk, like the gears in my head just like clunk together. I'm like, oh. Okay. All right. Got it. Good. Excellent. Yeah.
I do remember, like, you kind of, like, I could see the blue screen happening, like, in your brain for a
Right.
second. Like, you froze. It probably felt like hours to you.
Yeah.
It really, though, I mean, it was like, no, it was like 5 seconds. You just kind of froze and you're like, so. But I knew, you know, you say presenting, it's not quite the right term. I was not presenting
Oh,
as
okay. Yeah.
female,
Yeah. Go
but I
ahead. Yeah.
was, no, you're right. But I was definitely appearing to people as female.
Right.
Um, so I definitely understood, and I knew that was how people were probably seeing me in the room. And I knew that, I mean, just by having the name and by, the little M on my ID, that I would be essentially outed for, who I was. But yeah. I think you took it very well, though. I do,
Right.
definitely. You did. You were
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
professional
No.
and friendly, so it was good.
I tried, man. I tried. And because like you were like the first transsexual person that like I like not just saw, but like actually like had to like interact with and like had to have like a relationship with, and misgendering, trying to get pronouns correct and stuff like that. Like, it can be hard And because like I said, like, the lizard part in the back of my brain sees what it sees, and I got to like remember, to say, because like it's like the last thing I want to do is like alienate somebody who's probably, spent a significant portion of their life being isolated and alienated and so on and so forth. So it's like, I got to try and do what I need to do to make him feel comfortable and welcome, and, so on and so forth. And I want to say that, a lot of the guys that were in the truck with us, Daniel and Clay and what was Billy, I think we all did a really good job of making sure that not only were you welcome to the company, but welcome to the brotherhood of trucking, so to speak.
Yeah, I'll say all of the students, with the exception of one in my week, were great about it. Certainly all those you listed, but the rest as well were very good about it. I mean, just regardless of like, they didn't all come from cities. They didn't all come from liberal or leftist backgrounds. I mean, they came from all sorts, and they were all cool and respectable. I mean, like I said, except the one. He wasn't that bad to tell everyone. He just absolutely refused to use the right pronouns. We didn't interact very much, though. So, at least the way that you guys had set it up.
Right. We had one instructor that also refused within our group, and surprising, not surprising, I don't know, however you want to look at it. He was never, as far as I'm aware of, he was never actually reprimanded for the intolerance that he had. But I tell you what, I guess it kind of worked out that she ended up in my truck, and and I definitely had to make sure that you had as little interaction with that particular guy as possible. So we've got like a couple of minutes. I don't know if you wanted to, in 2 minutes or less. Are there any issues going on within the LGBT community? Anything in particular that you wanted to talk about? Any message that you wanted to share in a couple of minutes here?
Oh man, yeah, super quick. Geez. I mean, there's a lot definitely going on, specifically with the trans community right now.
Right.
I mean, with marriage, gay marriage being, it's like solved. It's not codified, so it could go either way with the Supreme Court.
Right.
But with that battle not being as solid, they definitely have switched over to trans people. Public restrooms have been an issue for me most of my trucking career. There's something about like they kind of stopped getting misgendered before the pandemic, but there's something about the pandemic being able to wear a mask that was kind of helpful to me, almost, and that I got misgendered a lot more all of a sudden because people couldn't see my facial hair, and they see how incredibly short I am, but I at least could cover up my facial hair and then start using the women's restroom again without getting looks. But leading up to the point where finally people started, the HRT, finally caught up. But yeah, and it's silly, I was going to use the toilet, I'm closing the door anyway. Like, what's the deal? And now that fad has kind of worn off a little bit, they're focusing on the most vulnerable of us, kids.
The youth,
And some of these laws, I don't know what all of them are right now. I do know that in both Utah and Ohio, since those are two of the states that I live in, that they have laws going on now where if a girl is just accused of possibly being trans, she is then subject to, if she wants to continue in sports, she has to be subject to an external examination by this board of people, like not by her doctor or something, but just this board of people from the school or whatever. That it's appalling. It's disgusting, and it's something that will affect both trans and cis kids. Just anyone who gets accused of being, too good at their sport. And when you think about the physical differences that exist in people, whether or not they're trans or cis, and certainly in sports, the people at the top of the games in any given sports have certain physical characteristics. Swimming and basketball, and volleyball. If you're tall, you have an advantage, for an example. Yeah. So the differences that exist, especially in kids who can have something like hormone blockers and have no physical differences to even start from their cis counterparts, other than what genetics gave them. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it's
frustrating.
definitely yeah, and it's a lot that to try to fit in a couple of minutes there. But I definitely appreciate you sharing that message, and I also thank you for being a part of my trucking life, sir. You're an inspiration to me, and I'm a better person for having known you. And so yeah, you keep on trucking, man. You're out here, you're killing it, and I'm glad that I can count you as a friend, man. I'm really happy I had a chance to talk to you today.
Thanks, you too, man. Appreciate it.
All right. So let's go ahead and say goodbye to Caleb. All right. Now it's just me. All right. So now it's time to end the show. Believe it or not, that's the end of our show today. It kind of flew by, didn't it? But I definitely want to thank all of my guests for coming on, sharing their stories, sharing their adventures. I really hope that they had a good time today, because I'd really like them to continue, maybe come back on and talk about other topics, because them being part of the LGBT community, at the end of the day, they're truckers too, and so therefore, they're a part of our community as well. But with all of that being said, I do have one announcement that I want to make publicly, and that is that it is with a heavy heart and with a clear conscience that this will be my last time hosting a live show for Trucking Life. I do not make this decision lightly, but I do want to take a moment to publicly express my gratitude for all the opportunities and all the good times and all the great memories that I've had hosting these live shows. But with that said, I am not necessarily leaving. I am still a part of Trucking Life. It's just that there's some other projects that I've got going on that I want to dedicate more time to. I think I said at the top of the show, I was talking about the Castbox platform. I really hope that you guys take some time to subscribe to that platform. There's some great things coming in that space. I don't have anything specific that I want to announce at this moment here, but I've got a really good professional grade microphone sitting in a box at my house. Yep, and I love you too, Brooke. And I love everyone here at Trucking Life. Like I said, I'm not necessarily going anywhere, but I want to see about getting something off the ground and see what that looks like. See if I'm able to do it. I've got my Steam Deck. Again, that one's sitting in a box at the house, and so instead of watching all these other content creators creating content on their Steam Deck and also playing video games and stuff like that, I'm looking forward to getting back into a Linux environment and learning how to create content in that kind of environment. I haven't had to do that since I was a high schooler, so it's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to be live again Wednesday at 7 p.m. Yes, good things on the horizon, that is for sure. But yeah, we are going to be live again Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central. So again, if you haven't yet, please consider turning on your notifications for us, so that way you don't miss out on any of our great content. And in the meantime, right, you got 2 whole days now. You got Monday and Tuesday. You're like, Ed, what am I going to do for 2 whole days? I need more Trucking Life. What do I do? All right, you guys go ahead and check out truckinglife.live. There's a page on there full of streamers just like me that have a lot of great content, a lot of great things to share with you guys. So yeah, you guys go ahead and check that out. And yeah, before I say goodbye, all those little buttons at the bottom of the screen, thumbs if you loved it, thumbs if you liked it, hearts if you loved it, and subs if you want to see us again. And we love you. Thank you for being a part of my Trucking Life, and we'll see you out on the road. Go ahead and play us out, Jay.
You're watching TruckingLife.live. Thank you for being with us today. Please like, follow, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any more great content. We'll see you out on the road.